We've got some breaking news. Formula One has added Mugello and Sochi to the revised 2020 calendar. This is before the Styrian Grand Prix. Currently, Practice 1 has just ended. We have 2 hours and 4 minutes until Practice 2. We will get on to that in a little bit. But news first, Mugello and Sochi are returning, making it 10 races currently on this revised grid. More races are to come. I've heard somewhere, little pipeline, that fans may just be turning up at the Russian Grand Prix. Apparently they are allowing ticket sales, but that is, I haven't seen anything here at all in this article stating that, so that is a little bit of a sneaky news. Anyway, let's head on into the review. Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff, and welcome back to my Formula 1 2020 season review. The entire weekend review is going to be crammed into one video: practices, qualifyings, and the race. Welcome to round 2 in Styria. We are once again back at the Red Bull Ring, the 71 lap, 4 point something, I've forgotten the statistics. It's the Red Bull Ring, 10 turns, very quick lap time, and let's jump straight on into practice. Practice 1 is literally just finished right now. Practice 2 is in 2 hours time, and I will react to that slightly later in the day. So we actually start with a racing point in first place, from Max Verstappen in second, followed by the 2 Mercedes in third and fourth. However, we start with Jack Aitken in the Williams, making his very first debut in free practice 1. Kubica was also in the Alfa Romeo as well, and I've got his driver number wrong. Damn. So moving down the order, we have Mercedes in third and fourth. I have managed to find out what tyres people were on. Mercedes only ran the medium tyres in this session, and they were still just 2/10 off of Sergio Perez on the soft tyre, and only not even a tenth behind Verstappen on also the soft tyre. It is looking very good for Mercedes still. They are definitely in the driver's seat for this weekend. But I was surprised to see McLaren so far down the order in 7th and 14th for Norris. They were 3/10 apart from each other. It was very, very close between Sainz and Norris, only 3/10 covering those 7 drivers. But yeah, still, to see them just down in 7th and 14th is a little bit strange. But it's only practice 1. There's another practice session in just 2 hours time. Next up we have Haas though. Another bit of another bad weekend for Haas. Grosjean was 5 thousandths off of Raikkonen down in P16, but then Raikkonen was half a second off of Norris. Yeah, not ideal at all. Magnussen had some issues with his car only managing 3 laps before being confined to the rest, or confined to the garage. I couldn't find a time that he'd set, even though he'd said he'd done 3 laps, but there was no time that was published anywhere, so I don't actually know how fast he went. It must have been too slow to actually register. Yeah, definitely not a good start to the Styrian Grand Prix weekend for Haas at all. Next up we have Latifi, unfortunately pulling over. This was actually right at the start of the session, within the first half an hour or so. Another engine issue for Latifi, causing the second red flag of the season, and it's again Latifi in the Williams. So he's only done 6 laps running. Yeah, again, not the ideal start to his weekend at all. AlphaTauri actually performed quite well, both on the medium tyre, Gasly and Kvyat in 8th and 11th places. They can be quite happy with that. They've done 26 and 28 laps as well. That is a very, very strong performance from the young... What am I going to say? Young... What was I thinking? They're AlphaTauri. They're not a young team. They're still old. I don't know what I was saying then. However, I feel Renault, again, are going to be one of those teams that are a little bit maybe happy with their performance. I'm not sure. They again ran the medium tyres, only with Ricciardo 9th and Ocon 13th. Oh yeah, I don't know. I think they will be happy with that, but to be behind an AlphaTauri, yeah, maybe not so much happy. But where do we begin with Alfa Romeo? They were testing some parts. They had some aero brakes on the back of their car. I would have included a picture, but it was a really, really rubbish picture of the brakes on the rear of the car. They then had some Flovis aero paint on the front left suspension components as well. So that could be a reason why they're down the bottom half of the leaderboard, running the medium tyres again, doing some high runs or high lap runs. But still, it's just a bit of a surprise to see them all the way down there. However, comparing practice 1 and practice 2, people have done about 20% less running, because practice 1 for the Austrian Grand Prix just last week, people had done 40 plus laps, and now the highest is 39 with signs, and then everyone else is in the low 30s, high 20s, which is just a little bit of an interesting thing. People aren't doing as much running. And finally, we have Red Bull, 2nd and 6th. I think Verstappen may be happy with 2nd at the moment. He ran the soft tyre, Albon just the medium, but definitely not happy. Constantly complaining about understeering the high-speed corners, and he just wasn't comfortable at all in that car. And finally, we have Ferrari. I don't have a picture of Ferrari. They didn't release one on their Twitter. They've only released just stupid statistic board things, so I couldn't find a decent FP1 picture of Ferrari on their Twitter account. But 10th and 12th on the soft tyre, 10th and 12th, behind Ricciardo, Gasly, Albon, all on the medium tyre, and they're behind them. Ferrari are slow again. Can they improve for practice 2? Possibly. We'll have to wait and see. But that is it for practice 1. Join me again in a little bit. Just one little cut for you guys, but for me it's going to be about 3.5 hours until the end of practice 2 to be able to record again. Oh, that was an interesting practice 2. Let's jump straight on into it. So here are the results, and it is Max Verstappen who takes top spot over Valtteri Bottas and then the 2 racing points. However, we start with a Renault and Daniel Ricciardo, who had an incident bringing out a red flag. The very first crash, like a crash, causing a red flag, and there is definitely a broken Renault. But moving from Renault and Daniel Ricciardo to Haas, down in 18th and 19th place, behind the Williams on the soft tyre. They were doing long fuel runs, high fuel runs, but still, to be on the soft tyre and then to get to the end of your high fuel run, you'd have thought you'd at least be a little bit higher up the leaderboard maybe, but they should have some pace in hand. 36 and 37 laps, not bad at all. But moving away from Haas, we head to Alfa Tauri. They had a decent practice again, 11th and 12th. Gasly, almost 3 tenths in front of Kvyat. However, Gasly was not happy with his team at all, not utilising the slipstream advantage. He thought the slipstream advantage was more significant than the commentators thought, and it wasn't being used fairly in his opinion. So he was a little bit irate on the team radio. But still, to be 11th and 12th is not bad going at all for the AlphaTauri squad. But we now move to Ferrari, and they finally released a picture from practice. It's a terrible picture, but a picture nonetheless. Now, where do we begin with Ferrari? Leclerc P9, okay? The only Ferrari-powered car in the top 10, and on the same tyre, he is a second off the pace of Max Verstappen. Now that is a statement that probably has never been said before ever. But also, Vettel down in P16 on the soft tyre. Down in P16, he was not happy at all, couldn't find the right balance, couldn't find the right setup. He's done 39 laps, almost the maximum. The 2 racing points and Sainz have done more, and also Latifi. But to do 39 laps on the soft tyre and to still be P16, what is going on with Sebastian Vettel? Another big name to be struggling is Lewis Hamilton, P6, 7 tenths away from Verstappen, 0.688 seconds on the soft tyre as well. the soft tyre and he's still 6 tenths behind Verstappen. The last half an hour he wasn't really running. They had the full front off of the car, changing things within the bulkhead, possibly the suspension. Commentators thought it could have been a DAS issue, but they did say that they've got no idea what a DAS issue would look like and what they'd be looking for at all, as they don't know how it works and no one really knows how it works. But definitely to see Hamilton struggling in a car that last week was fighting quite happily for pole position, and now it's a car that's in 6th place, 7 tenths off of the top spot. It's just a little bit odd that things can change that quickly in just 1 week. They were confident that they fixed their gearbox gremlins, so hopefully their reliability has improved, or, well, not hopefully, depends on if you're a fan or not. Moving back to Red Bull though, Alex Albon had a spin. Kind of just got on the power a little bit too early. I can't remember exactly where it was, it was before turns 9 and 10, but after in the second sector of the track, just a little bit too much power and then just lost the rear. Nice flat spots on all 4 tyres and then came back into the pits. P7 he finds himself, but almost 8 tenths off of Verstappen, and again on the soft tyre when he set that lap compared to Verstappen's minute 3.6 on the mediums, which just goes to show how quick Verstappen really is, and that Red Bull as well. If he was able to outpace Bottas by half a tenth, who was on the soft tyre. Now teams are trying to treat practice 2 at least as maybe qualifying, because there is supposed to be torrential rain tomorrow, like awful rain, washout kind of rain. The qualifying will be cancelled, and either practice 2 will be used as the qualifying result, or if there is enough time, it will be squidged in on Sunday morning. But we move to McLaren now, and Norris has a 3-place grid drop for the race, ahead of the race. He ignored yellow flags, or overtook under yellow flags in practice 1. He finds himself 8th on the hard tyre, doing some long runs on 30 laps on the hards. Sainz is P5 on the soft. Good running from McLaren. Definitely some good running. But Williams actually had a decent qualifying practice. Russell back in the car after relinquishing it to Jack Aitken. Quite happy, to be honest. In front of Vettel, in front of the 2 Hasses, and also his teammates. Latifi doing some solid running after missing a lot of practice 1 as well. 48 laps, the most out of anybody on the medium tyre. Second to last team covering today, we've got Alfa Romeo. A little bit better, 13th and 14th on the soft and mediums for Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, but still not ideal. They're still behind where they probably want to be. They probably want to be in front of the AlphaTauris and such, but they're just not quite there yet. And finally, Racing Point. They honestly, this weekend, this is the strongest this team has ever been. Yes, you can say that's down to the fact that they've traced the Mercedes W10, but you cannot deny the fact that that car is quick. They are 3rd and 4th. They were 1st and 3rd, 1st and 4th or something like that last in practice 1 earlier today. They are definitely a strong contender for at least a podium in this Grand Prix coming. Medium and soft tyres, both 43 laps. Very, very strong indeed. Now we've just got to wait for, well, either practice 3 or qualifying tomorrow, if anything even happens. If not, this will be the end of the practice reviews, and I'll just jump straight into qualifying on Sunday. What a qualifying. Oh my god. So, we had no practice 3 that was called off, but we did have the rain. The rain came, and the rain came hard. So we start with Q1. It was Williams that was the surprise of the show. Russell making it out of Q1 for the first time in his career. P12 currently in Q1. In between the 2 Ferraris of all, Latifi had a little bit of a struggling session down in P18, unfortunately. But the biggest shock, Sergio Perez in the Racing Point. I know that's a picture of Lance Stroll. Doesn't matter. But Sergio Perez, P17. Yeah, they looked so strong in the dry, but in the rain, it fell apart for that team. Another team to probably not perform as well as they would have liked in the rain is Alfa Romeo. They didn't upload any pictures of them in the rain. It's really annoying, so I've had to take a picture of them in the dry from yesterday. But again, doesn't matter. 16th and 19th for the team. Not ideal in any way, shape or form, and again out in Q1. But a team that will be mightily happy with their performance so far, AlphaTauri, up in 9th and 10th with Kvyat and Gastly safely through, but also Renault as well, 6th and 7th for Ricciardo and Ocon. But definitely McLaren are up there, 3rd and 4th, comfortably through into Q2. Magnussen down in 15th. Haas aren't looking too good, with Grosjean failing to set a time as well. Albon also on the cusp of going out of the session, but looking quite comfortable as the Red Bull is quick. So we head to Q2 now after we've eliminated 5 runners, and Leclerc is the next out. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, another Ferrari out in Q2, down in P11. But George Russell once again performing for that Williams in P12, just 8 thousandths of a second down on Leclerc. Wow, yeah, that is a performance of a lifetime, setting him up beautifully for the race tomorrow. Just so well for the race. Stroll, unfortunately, down in P13. Racing Point were not on point today. They really had a shocker of a qualifying in the rain. They would have much preferred qualifying to be called off and the use of practice 2 times, as they were 3rd and 4th, but qualifying went ahead and they did not perform. But we also have Lando Norris. He currently has a 3-place grid penalty for ignoring yellow flags or overtaking under yellow flags in FP1, but up in P3, half a second off of Verstappen and 0.6 off of Hamilton, but to be in front of Bottas and also Albon as well, definitely a strong performance from the young Brit. But there is no denying the strength of Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton. In the rain, there is no better combination. A 1:17.8, him and Verstappen the only men in the 1:17s and comfortably clear of everybody else. Bottas is 0.8 off. 0.8 off of his teammate. So Renault also managed to get both cars into Q3 as well, with Sainz P7, Albon down in P8, and Vettel just by 0.08 of a second making it through as well, to be the only Ferrari powered car in Q3. And talking of Q3, we will head there right now, and it is Lewis Hamilton on pole position by 1.2 seconds. 1.2 seconds on pole position, the only man in the 1 minute 19s in the final session as well. And oh my god, that was a lap. That was a lap and a half from the 6-time Formula 1 world champion. Yeah, that was insane. Looking at all the gaps between everybody else, between Verstappen and Sainz and Bottas and Ocon, it's all 0.2 and less than a tenth. But then you've got Hamilton, 1.2 seconds clear. Absolutely ridiculous. Verstappen lines up P2, a very strong performance from the Red Bull. Looking comfortable for the race. The race is dry tomorrow, hopefully. I think 50% chance of rain, but definitely setting him up nicely. One Mercedes is nicely out of the way in 4th place with Bottas. But Sainz is P3. Ooh, belched. But yes, Sainz P3. I think that's his best career qualifying. He may have had a better one last year, I can't quite remember, but definitely P3, the best of the season so far. And in front of Bottas, in front of Ocon, in front of his teammate who will take a 3-place grid drop, and in front of the other Red Bull as well. And speaking of Ocon and Renault, P5 on his return. I think that is Ocon's best qualifying as well. I don't think he ever got that high in the Force India Racing Point car. Ricciardo P9, some small little struggles, 0.3 of a second down on Ocon, but definitely both cars into Q3. That is a good start for Renault tomorrow. They should at least score some points, some good points hopefully. But Pierre Gastly outdrove the crap out of that AlphaTauri. He really did. P8. for the Frenchman, and really showing that he does deserve that top drive. He just didn't get on with the Red Bull. Maybe it's the Red Bull atmosphere, maybe it's the car, but yeah, definitely deserves a drive up there. But yeah, P8, not bad at all. But finally, for qualifying, we have Sebastian Vettel, 4-time Formula 1 World Champion, out of a drive for next year, looking very unlikely that he'll be in the sport next year unless Aston Martin or someone picks him up. P10, over 2 seconds down on Hamilton. Now bear in mind this is the rain, and the car doesn't quite make as much difference as it would in the dry, as it's more driver confidence. In the rain, as Verstappen ended up spinning on one of his quick laps, so maybe he'd have been within a second of Hamilton. But to be 2.5 seconds off, and I mean half a second as well off of Ricciardo, the next closest car, yeah, something is wrong with that Ferrari. But people were saying that the FP2 grid would have set up the race nicely, really nicely. But I feel that this qualifying has also set the grid up really nicely as well. Yes, we've got Hamilton on pole with Verstappen second, but we've also got Sainz up there, we've got the Renaults up there, Albon is up there as Norris is going to be bumped down, Gasly is in the top 10 as well. It's a good grid. We're going to see Racing Point fighting through as they do have a strong car. It is going to be an exceptional race tomorrow, and I cannot wait to react to it. But that is it for my qualifying reactions. I'm going to wait till tomorrow and react to the race. Charles Leclerc is hit with a 3-place grid penalty for the Styrian Grand Prix. Qualifying is all done and dusted, but the action is not over. But unfortunately for Ferrari, it is a negative. Ferrari, they are going from bad to worse. The car really isn't performing very well. P11 out in Q2, and now they are 3 places behind that, P14, promoting George Russell in the Williams up to P11, their best qualifying for a long time. But yes, Charles Leclerc has a penalty for impeding Danny Kvyat during qualifying. It was during Q2 as well. We didn't actually see the incident. It was never replayed because I've just come from watching the Channel 4 highlights, and it was not shown, not played. So I haven't actually seen the clip of it, but that's what he got the penalty for. And now I think that's it for a little news injection there before, after qualifying and before the race. We've got 18 hours and 6 minutes until the race. I'll wait for it to start. Or finish. Yeah, I'll wait for it to finish. That's not wait for it to start. Well, I'll do both. I'll need to do both. Wait for it to start so I can watch it, then wait for it to finish, then I can do this. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I think 2020 has been alright so far. Considering we've had to wait, 217 days for racing? We've had 2 pretty decent races. By no stretch of the imagination, this was not as good as Austria. Styria was not as good as Austria. But my god, those last 10 laps, or last 5 laps, were astonishing. Let's get straight into it. We begin, it was a Mercedes 1-2. Hamilton led. Did he lead from lights to flag? He led a lot of it. He ends up winning, coming away with the victory. Not the fastest lap though. Bottas in P2, and there is Lewis Hamilton, and there is the pair of them there, celebrating Mercedes' first 1-2 of the year, and their first in black as well. So Verstappen tried to take it to them, but without Albon really being there to put some strategic pressure on, it just didn't quite work out, and he was just a bit powerless to actually do anything. However, we head to Ferrari. Yeah, they crashed into each other. Leclerc was very optimistic going into a move on the opening lap, or opening couple of laps. It broke Vettel's car. If you're a Ferrari fan, this isn't the best of seasons, is it? They've had 2 shocking, abysmal races. Yeah, they need a good performance in Hungary, but I don't know if it's going to come because they haven't had a chance to test all their new bits because they crashed. And yeah, Ferrari is not looking good at all. You'd have thought it couldn't get any worse from their poor qualifying yesterday, but it did. It got very worse. It got very bloody worse. We'll have to wait one more week. Less than a week now to find out what happens in practice in Hungary. I can't imagine it'll be much better. God damn, my chair is so bloody squeaky. Stop. But moving from Ferrari, we head to McLaren. Now, Lando bloody Norris. Lando Norris is the king. Hands down the king of last lap efforts, last lap pushes. Last week in Austria, he pulled out, I think it was like a 2-second advantage to close the gap to Lewis Hamilton with his 5-second penalty to get his first podium. And today, he stormed the last few laps to get past Sergio Perez after he had damage with contact with Albon as well, and managed to get past for 5th. You can look in the race results, he was only just under a second clear of Perez, who was half a 10th in front of Stroll, who was a 10th in front of Ricciardo. It was insane. His last lap effort was ridiculous from Norris to grab 5th place. But their pit stop with Sainz wasn't so good. It was a bit poor, a little bit slow, and it did cost Sainz those positions, because Sainz was comfortably running kind of where Norris was, but he would have been passed by Perez, definitely, because Perez was on a charge, but we'll cover that later. They kind of just bugged him up, and it put him in traffic, and he didn't really manage to recuperate all of that until he was pitted onto the soft tyre, and he managed to bag the fastest lap. So far, it's 2 fastest laps from 2 for McLaren. But speaking of Racing Point, we head to them now. 6th and 7th. Again, not the result they'd have wanted, but considering they started, 14th or 13th and 17th or something like that, it was a good day's work. But Perez was comfortably running 5th and breathing down the neck of Albon for about 10 laps or so, until very, very similar to the Hamilton incident, although slightly reversed. Perez went up the inside into turn 3, I think it was, just clipped Albon's rear wheel. Could have sent Albon into a spin exactly the same as the Hamilton incident, but it didn't. It caused Perez some damage to his front wing, which I think, yes, you can just about see the pink car on the right. But look at that finish. That was at the end of the race. That was for the finish across the line, but it did cost Perez 5th place, that little bit of contact. Funnily enough though, he was rated driver of the day, but as the commentators said, they felt that people got those votes in before the contact with Albon. I certainly voted before the contact with Albon, and I would have changed it to Norris, but you vote within the last, with 5 laps to go. There's still 5 laps of the race to go. Anything can change. And it did. It really did. But moving to the third team that is in that picture there, Renault. Renault, I don't know where to begin. DNF with Ocon, I suppose. I think they tweeted about it saying cooling issues. They were afraid that he was going to end up retiring. I think he was retired as a precaution to save the power units and such. So that is a bit of a shame. Lap 25, unfortunate really. I think it was similar issue to last week, but Ricciardo, he was just unlucky. It was a strong move from Stroll to get past Ricciardo, and I think it's being investigated currently, so there may just be a little bit of news, but I don't know if I'll upload this before or after the news comes, because it is still being investigated, that incident. But yes, Stroll dives up the inside of Ricciardo. Both go off the track, which allows Norris a chance of getting past. Norris gets past Ricciardo, then gets past Stroll, and then ultimately past Perez as well. But Ricciardo was comfortably 6th, I think. Ricciardo was 6th, Stroll was 7th, Norris was 8th. And then at the flag, it's reversed, and Ricciardo ends up 8th. Definitely came off worse in that incident. But I feel they can also kind of be happy, I suppose, as they do have a car that can fight at the top with the Racing Points, can hold off Stroll, can hold off Norris. It's just he was forced off the track and the cars got past him. But moving to a team that wasn't particularly mentioned Alfa Tauri. Scored a point with Danny Kvyat. Another point on the board. 2 points finishes for... lost their name. 2 points finishes for Alfa Tauri. 1 in Austria, 1 in Styria. However, Pierre Gastly had a strong qualifying. P8, if I remember rightly. But P14, a bad strategy. Soft tyres to the hards, and you think, yeah, that's cool, that's going to work out, just a one stop, he can get to the end. Nope, he didn't like the hards at all, and then he went back onto the soft tyres, but the moment he had to make 2 stops, that was his race was buggered. It was done for. And going from one Alfa team to the other, Alfa Romeo. Can Alfa Romeo can they be happy? I don't know. It's better than qualifying. Their qualifying was a bit dreadful, but again, it was tipping it down with rain. Raikkonen just on the cusp of points. I'm not entirely sure how close he was to Kvyat, as it just says a lap, and that's all I've got to go on. But I think there could have been more. I think they were hoping for more, possibly. There are more incidents, judging by the fact there were 3 safety cars in last week, and there was only 1 this week. I think they may have been counting on more to hopefully get them up into that leaderboard, but anyway, I think they could possibly be happy, but maybe quite disappointed. It's hard to tell. Oh, also, Giovinazzi actually got a warning in the race. I forgot about that. I have written it down on a bit of paper, but Giovinazzi got a warning for track limits, extending them. Black and white flag over 3 times, I think he did that. And penultimately, we have Haas. I think Haas can be happy. Haas can definitely be happy with that. Last week, double DNF, brake issues. I think they still had some brake issues because Grosjean was definitely locking up a lot, but that could have just been Grosjean locking up a lot. But to have both cars finish 12th and 13th as well, in front of an AlphaTauri, in front of an Alfa Romeo, but also behind an Alfa Romeo and an AlphaTauri, not bad. Not bad at all. And finally, we have Williams. Now, Williams can be disappointed with that. Russell starting P11, Latifi starting I think P17 where he finished, and ending the race both 2 laps down. Not ideal. Russell was definitely aiming for points. Maybe with a more action-packed race, more safety cars in the race, he could have got some points, but in a race where there was only 1 safety car at the beginning and then you have mostly green flag racing for about 60 laps, the Williams is still a little bit slow compared to everybody else. They need an action-packed race like it was last week to actually get up there, as they don't have the time, or the other cars don't have the time to pull away from them, and they're always there. Yeah, I feel Williams will be disappointed with that, especially to be the only team 2 laps down from Hamilton. And that is the end of my race review, but like I said, as I am recording this, the investigation between Stroll and Ricciardo is still ongoing. Whether anything will come from that, I'm not sure. Now, I did try. I've spent about 45 minutes after the race finished trying to make some championship tables and some visualization graphs of the championship, but Excel is pissing me off today. Everything is being slow, everything's being annoying, and nothing is working the way I want it to. When I know what I'm doing is right, maybe. It could just be me being annoyed, and then it's not working because I've made a mistake, but I can't see the mistake because I'm annoyed. Anyway, I don't have them. They should be there for Hungary. Give me a week and I can get them working. So that should be something else that I can add in at the last little, after this, it will come in. But I think that is all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed that review, and I will catch you in the next video with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.